All right. Well, how is everybody doing today? I hope everybody is doing just fine. This is the Ja Renee. I got a lot to say, and so I'm gonna cut to the chase. Um, let's go ahead and we pray over these cards, and then we can go ahead and get started with the reading. Oh, beautiful one, glory to you in the highest. There is none that is greater than you. And I am so thankful for all that you have provided for not only just me, but for everyone else as well, especially the collective that's watching. I ask that you protect us both as the energy is channeled. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we are talking about today. So the first card out is the Hierophant. All right, so immediately off, I'm getting tradition. I'm getting, something that you're used to. But let's kind of see what else we're dealing with here. Okay. I'm going to take that, but I'm not going to take these. All right, so what I'm getting immediately, just because we had the Hierophant that came out first. And after the Hierophant came out, the Wheel of Fortune came out along with the Three of Cups in reverse. And so what I'm getting is that something with how you were seeing the world, like whether if it was through a tradition or through a way of thinking or through an ideology, whatever, a way, something in how you were thinking about the world, about society, about how things are supposed to come together was rocked. Like you've got a reality check about something. So let's see if maybe we can get a little bit more information about that, because this seems like it's very interesting. Okay. All right, so it's becoming a little bit clearer. So what I'm getting and what I'm seeing is, how there's like levels of hierarchy, and the way that it's expected is that you kind of remain within whatever level of this hierarchy is. But for whatever reason, this is what's actually being challenged. Either you don't want to reside within this hierarchy anymore, or there's something here. It's almost like you have a wisdom about something, or you have a knowledge about something that someone doesn't expect you to have. Something along those lines. A Cancer could be significant, as well as somebody with a T name. But maybe there were boundaries that you had to create in regards to whatever type of tradition. Well, let's see here. Okay. I just want to get one more, or just a little bit more, to see if we can figure out the story here. Okay. Okay. So what's going on is that you are definitely in this space of where you grew up in a specific kind of way. Like as if everybody kind of expected you to be a certain kind of way, expected you uh, to hold your tongue. Like you come from a bite your tongue kind of a generation or kind of a family or society. And that's not who you are. That's not who you are. You don't, you don't, you don't have a problem with not biting your tongue. Let's just say, let's just say that you are somebody that feels that it's your duty to say the things that you need to say, to express yourself in whatever way that you need to express yourself. And maybe these traditions and these uh, ways of thinking that you knew prior to is something that was suffocating you or suppressing you, because what I'm getting is that a lot of people appreciated the old you better. So they don't like that you're challenging things that in their mind was meant to be kind of stayed the same way. But we all know that if things stay the same, if things stay the same and they don't ever change, how can we expect something different? And the thing about it is that we can't. And so I think this is what you're realizing. You're realizing that man, it's never about, you're realizing that just because you understood something before and this was the way that it was set up prior to, that you're realizing that it doesn't always have to be in that way. It doesn't always have to be in fact, it wasn't even the best way to be from what I'm getting. And so you're someone that's breaking, yeah, you're breaking molds. Like you're creating molds and you're breaking walls. You know, you're almost like you're telling your community or the people around you or whomever, you're showing them who it is that they need to be too. So you're a true example of what one should be in this life, is what I'm picking up. And people don't like that you are, and I'm sorry, there's another one that fell too. Yeah. They don't like that you are doing something different, that you're seeing that something was wrong. And even if they saw it first, they don't like that you are seeing it and deciding to change, you know? And unfortunately, it's not about what, you know, if somebody didn't do it in that moment, they didn't do it. You know, they have to take accountability for the fact that they didn't do it. But if you did it, you know, then celebrate that, you know, like kind of be proud of yourself that you were the one that wasn't afraid of change. You know, depending on whatever it is that you're having to do to create this change, to institute new ideas and things, you know, you may want to consider making sure that you're in the correct environment. So for example, if you know that you live next door to the people that aren't happy with this change or aren't really wanting to see you kind of do things differently, you may want to consider moving. You may want to consider just putting yourself in the best position that you can, because what you don't want to do is really trap yourself with people that mean you harm. And honestly, that's what you're you're doing when you say to yourself, I don't have anything to worry about, like you heard it in your mind where it says, get up, move, go. These people don't mean you well. But when you just ignore it, you kind of run the risk of being on the news. That's what I heard, but that's just messed up. So at this point, this is your time. People don't have good reason to be able to really tell you why what you're saying is wrong. They just know that this is the way that it's always been, and they weren't the ones to kind of initiate that change. And so never feel upset or bad, or it may be uncomfortable because people are looking at you and they're like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong. But in fact, they have no idea. They've never even seen the material that you're using to create what you're creating, let alone tell you that what you're doing is wrong. And you understand what it is that you're saying, and you are able to speak these truths without any type of fear of repercussion, without caring what anybody else is saying. And that is important, because there's a lot of things that we've just come to think we know as correct, and found out that it just simply isn't. And to challenge anything is to make us seem so ghastly, and you're not ghastly. You're not, I am so appreciative of you for taking the time and the opportunity to want to understand it in a different way. Being able to say that this doesn't make sense, or this doesn't feel good. This can't be it. This can't be life. Why is it that why do we have to do this? And why isn't anybody else doing it too? But you know what? It's not even about that. Why isn't anybody doing it too? It's obviously something that was for you. So continue to speak your truth. Continue to focus on you. Continue to know that if it was put inside of you as something to clear up, whether if it's, hierarchy or whatever, because people get sensitive, when it comes to certain things, because they've nestled in and they felt comfortable within these sort of, I'm thinking cabinet, but the cabinet's not the word, but like these shelves that they've nestled in securely, thinking that they can continue to be in these ways and act these ways and as this certain type of being. It's, and I'm glad that there's people out here that are thinking differently. And so that's exciting to me. If you want to challenge something, challenge it. Because how do we know that you don't have the missing key? You don't have the missing link. You don't have that extra piece that we needed all along. We stop psyching yourself out. You are incredible. And just because people don't like the way that you're doing something doesn't mean that it's something that you shouldn't do. It just may mean that it's something that you should fight harder on. Continue to do it. Because obviously, people are getting a little razzle-dazzle. So, thank you for chatting with me today. Thank you for being here and listening. I hope that this is something that really resonated as creating a change in anything, whether if it's a boundary that you're making, whether if it's a something that you knew that you're doing within a social setting or organization. It's always difficult when you're the first ones that have to instill that change. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. And it doesn't mean that you should allow negative self-talk and things that kind of take you out of what you are knowing to be true to take you out of that mindset. Because you already know how incredible you are. And you know I look forward to hearing your ideas and your opinions. So get out there. But I thank you very much for listening again and chatting with me. If you do like my content, do me a favor. The best way to support me is to join me on Patreon. I have created a very special place for you guys where I can just cater to providing messages simply for you on that platform. And also just being able to create just a sense of friendship as we, comment on the post, as we communicate with each other, as we are all just trying to become better people. I thank you so much for chatting with me, and you have a great day.